Hey guys, Rafi here from the End Game Investor. And today I'm going to talk about how the attack on Israel, the Nazi-like slaughter of innocents, actually worse than the Nazis because the Nazis tried to hide their crimes, but Hamas has publicized them purposely to brag about how they kill babies and children and women and kidnap little kids. This is a class that I just heard, and I'm going to add my own twist to it, or I'm going to add what I think was left out, what needs to be done, and I'm going to try to explain the nature of the evil that the Jewish people face. Sorry, I'm not talking about gold and silver today, but there are more important things right now, and this is what's on my mind. And for patrons, I'm going to be publishing another video today of another prophecy of what happens when Israel does not fight Amalek. Amalek are the mortal enemies of the Jewish people. They still exist today. We'll explain who they are and what happens next after this attack. I believe I've found it in the Haftarah, in the section of the prophets that we read this week. I don't think it's a coincidence. I see what is probably going to happen next, though, again, I'm not a prophet. I don't know for sure. This is just what I'm seeing, and it could be my mind making it up, but patrons will see what I have in store, and you can join my Patreon for as little as $3 a month and support me. And I do need people's support right now. It's getting very difficult. We're back on lockdown, and I don't know when the bombing is going to start in the north, if it is going to at all. I also wanted to make clear before I begin that I am aware that this is a deep state operation, or is very likely a deep state operation. I personally do not want the Americans involved or any other country involved in this at all. But even if it is a deep state operation that is trying to push the region into war, these people committed their crimes, and the Jewish people must defend itself. The best way to stop World War III is to win this war as fast as possible. The military-industrial complex wants the conflict to keep going on and on and on. The only way to stop it is for there to be a winner. And the best way to defeat the deep state is to win the war rather than allowing it to go on round after round after round, which is what the deep state wants. And if you want to support this channel, it looks like the end game is closing in and it's getting very rough, especially over here. You can do so by purchasing a Dirty Man safe. I've already had a lot of orders on this product, and it's very encouraging. If you go to dirtymansafe.com and use the promo code ENDGAME10, ENDGAME 10, you'll get 10% off your Dirty Man safe, which you will be able to bury in a spot where only you know. It is metal detector proof if you bury it deep enough. And I think this is the wisest way to hide your valuables, whatever they may be, so only you know where they are. Go to dirtymansafe.com and purchase a Dirty Man safe by using the code ENDGAME10. Anyway, let's begin. We have here Numbers chapter 21, and I believe this foretells what happened in Israel last Saturday on the final day of Sukkot. It wasn't really the final day of Sukkot. We had stepped out of the sukkah, out of the booth. It was a Jewish holiday, and it was the Sabbath, and it was the worst thing, I think, in the state of Israel's history that has ever happened. It was the worst act of negligence, either that or let it happen on purpose. I don't know what the truth is. Numbers chapter 21. The whole community knew that Aaron had breathed his last. Aaron died. Aaron is the first high priest, Moses' brother. All the house of Israel bewailed Aaron for 30 days. So we were in mourning when Aaron died. And what happened when Aaron died? Ananei HaKavod. In the desert, when the Israelites had left Egypt, God gave us clouds on top of us to guard us from the weather, to keep us away from the heat and comfortable. Those were called the Ananei HaKavod, the clouds of glory. And they were in the merit of Aaron, the high priest. And when Aaron died, those clouds left. So we'll see what happens then. I mean, the divine presence, or a form of the divine presence in the form of the clouds of glory, they had left and we became exposed. And that is when we were attacked over here in the next verse in chapter 21. It says, Vayishma Knani melech Arad Yoshev Negev ki ba Yisrael derech ha'atarim vayilachem b'Yisrael vayeshp mimenu shevi. When the Canaanite king of Arad, who dwelt in the Negev, learned that Israel was coming by the way of Atarim, he engaged Israel in battle and took some of them captive. Now, there's a question: who is this? Who are these Canaanites? Who are they? It says Melech Arad. So here on the left, you see that Rashi says, Rashi is a medieval commentator, probably the most famous one. This is right after Aaron died. So it says, Shama Shemet Aaron Yistalku Anei Kavod. They saw, these Canaanites saw that Aaron died, and when he died, the Anei Kavod, the clouds of glory, left. It says here in English, he heard that Aaron died and that the clouds of glory had disappeared, and he believed that he was now at liberty to wage war against Israel. Now, who are these people? It says here in the next Rashi, Yoshev HaNegev. Who is Yoshev HaNegev? The people who live in the Negev in the south, that is Amalek. And we're going to just go here in the portion of Shlach Lecha, which is when the spies are sent from the desert to spy on Eretz Yisrael, on Israel, to see how to conquer it. And also earlier in Book of Numbers, and they committed a great sin. They had the people fearing going in, and they said that we were going to be all killed in this war, so they decided they wanted to stay in the desert. So God said, fine, you can stay in the desert for 40 years, you'll stay in the desert, you'll die here. And that'll be it. And that's why we were in the desert for 40 years, because we rebelled against God here. So I'm just going to read that story so you have context here. They went up and scouted the land from the wilderness of Sin to Rehov and Levo Hamat. This is where the spies go. They went up to the Negev. They come back to the people and they say, this is what they told him. We came to the land you sent us to. It does indeed flow with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. However, the people who inhabit the country are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large. And then here's the key verse. This is verse 29, chapter 13. The Amalekites dwell in the Negev region. That's where they live. In the Negev region, the same region that attacked them. Over here, right, it says the Negev region, and these people, these Canaanites, are Yoshev and Negev. They live in the Negev. So the sages say that these are the Amalekites. They're just hiding. They're in a different clothing. They're speaking a different language, but they are Amalek, and that's why they are attacking. Amalek, our first encounter with them is in the desert right after the splitting of the sea. So there was a people who it is clear that a God is helping them, splitting a sea and destroying the biggest power in the world at that time, which is the Egyptian army, destroying the entire thing. And what happens right after the splitting of the sea? Amalek attacks us. A group of people called Amalek attacks the people of Israel right after it is so obvious to the entire world at that time that we have divine protection. You've got to be insane to do that. So what do? We have a commandment to remember what they did to us all times. It says, remember what Amalek did to you on your journey after you left Egypt. It says here, what did Amalek do to us in the desert? He, undeterred by fear of God, he surprised you on the march when you were famished and weary and cut down all the stragglers in your rear. Now, in your rear is a word that only appears once in the Torah. The word is vayizanev. The word zanav is a tail. Now, there's two explanations as to what this means. Why is this word being used only one time in the Torah? What is it? So here you have, again, Rashi explaining what vayizanev becha means. Vayizanev becha, he says in Hebrew, makat zanav, chotech milot v'zorek klape mala. Now, this is a little bit gruesome, but this is what happens. Vayizanev, zanav is a tail. And what organ do humans have that is like a tail? Well, that would be a penis. So it says here, Vayizanev b'cha means smiting the membrum, meaning cutting off penises, castrating people. He cut off their membra and threw them up provocatively towards heaven, because that is where our brit is, that is where our circumcision is, that is our deal with God, and that is what he is mocking. So the other explanation is that this is homosexual abuse. Basically, zanav, meaning they hit us with their zanav, homosexual abuse against old men or children. These are disgusting crimes. This is what Amalek did, and they did it to challenge God and to make fun of God because they hate God. This is their nature. This is Amalek, and this is why we can never forget them. Now, if we go back to verse 21, chapter 21 in Bamidbar. Now, we're encountering Amalek again, but they're called Yoshev HaNegev, which is where Amalek lives. Why aren't they coming out? Obviously saying, we're Amalek, remember us, we attacked you after the splitting of the sea, we're doing it again. Why are they hiding? Why are they hiding their identity? Because that's what they do. They're very, very tricky. It means that Amalek can be identified by its actions, not by its language or how it looks. It could be a group of people called Hamas now. They could be speaking a different language, but this is what they do. Now, how is this attack in Gaza, how was attacked from Gaza. How is it prophesied in the Torah? Well, it says here that this happened a day after Aaron died. And when Aaron died, the clouds of glory left Israel. And when the clouds of glory left Israel, what are the clouds of glory? What is the thing that Jews do every year that represents the clouds of glory that were protecting us in the desert that left after Aaron died? Well, that is the Sukkah. This attack happened on the day after Sukkot, after the day after the Feast of Booths, when we leave the Sukkah, meaning when we leave the Ananei HaKavod, the same day that Amalek attacked us in the desert and took captives from us. So it says here, this is the Torah. The Torah is a halachic source, and this is the beginning of the laws of Sukkah, how to build a Sukkah. This book is not a book of Jewish philosophy, it's a book of Jewish law, but he begins the laws of Sukkah to explain why there is a commandment to build a Sukkah and to live in a Sukkah for 7 days in the first place. So he says here, and I'll just go down to the English, for 7 day period, you shall live in booths, in sukkahs, in order that your generation should know that I had the children of Israel live in booths when I took them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. That's the verse that the mitzvah of living in a sukkah is based on. So it says here, the Torah says, the verse links the commandment of building a sukkah with the exodus from Egypt. Likewise, many other commandments are linked to the exodus, since it was an event which we saw with our eyes and heard with our ears, and no man can deny. The Exodus instructs us regarding the truth of the reality of the Creator, and may he be uplifted, that he created everything according to his will, and he has the power and the rule and the ability in the upper spheres and the lower spheres to do his will. There is no being which can impose his will on him, as he demonstrated with us when he took us out from the land of Egypt with signs and wonders. And the Sukkot, of which the verse states, he caused us to dwell in, were the clouds of glory, the Ananei HaKavod. These Sukkot represent the clouds of glory, which surrounded them, lest they be struck by heat or the sun. He commanded us to make Sukkot, to make booths, in order that we remember his wonders and awesome deeds. So the Sukkah is the Ananei HaKavod, it is the clouds of glory, and that this attack happened after the clouds of glory were lifted, and the day after Sukkot. And now, where does Gaza fit into this? Well, in Midrash Tanchuma, this is a collection of Jewish traditions, of stories that have been passed down. This was compiled around the year 800 or 900. It says here in the Midrash on the incident of Amalek's second attack on us when they took prisoners. When Amalek came and started up with us the second time, this is when they took prisoners from us. In Numbers chapter 21, so God said to us, you can fight these people. These are not Esav. These are not your brother. These are like Canaanites, which I instructed you to destroy. Why are we allowed to make war on Amalek? Because Amalek is forever a ritzu'ah mardut. It's a stripe or a whip of punishment against Israel. Now, the word ritzu'ah means whip, and the Gaza Strip, a strip, in Hebrew it's called ritzu'at Gaza, the Gaza Strip. And Amalek is the ritzu'ah, is the whip, the strip that punishes Israel when Israel is out of line. And boy, are we out of line, and we are getting punished now. But we will win anyway, because we will repent after this. We have to, and continue on with history. Now, there's one more point here. How did we beat Amalek? How did we beat them this time? Well, it says here, Vayidar Yisrael neder l'Hashem lemor, in nathon titen et ha'am hazeh biyadi vecharamti et harihem. After the attack, and after we were had captives taken by Amalek on the day after the Ananei HaKavod, the Sukkot, left, the day after we left the Sukkah, which is on Simchat Torah, which is when this attack happened, from Ritzuat Gaza, from the strip of punishment, Israel made a vow to God and said, if you deliver this people into our hand, we will prescribe their towns. Well, it could either mean we will utterly destroy their cities, or it could mean we will not benefit from the war economically. We will not benefit from any spoils of this war. The next verse says, "Vayishma Hashem bekol Yisrael vayiten et hakna'ani vayacharem ethem betarihem vayikra Hashem makom charma." God heeded Israel's plea and delivered up the Canaanites, and they and their cities were destroyed. So that place was named Hormah, or destruction. So what am I saying here? These verses have prophesied what is going to happen from the strip, because Amalek is a strip of punishment for Israel. The day after Aaron died, the day after the clouds left, when we were exposed, and this is the day that we left the Sukkot this year. That's when the attack happened from the strip of punishment by Amalek, who commits crimes, who castrates people, who rapes them, the weak people that are behind us. That's how they attack, and this is what they did. There exists a group of people in the world whose entire existence is for the purpose of destroying and torturing the Jewish people because they hate God. Those people have to be destroyed. And how do you destroy them? Well, there's a big problem. The problem is that the state of Israel itself, the government, is incapable of defending its citizens. The state of Israel, it looks like, is dying. It cannot defend its people. But who is rising up now? It is the people of Israel, it is the Jewish people that are rising. This is a war against the Jewish people. This was an attack not against the state of Israel. It was an attack against the Jewish people, all Jewish people, all across the world. And we see how it is being celebrated by the allies of Amalek. The last thing I want to point out is these people, these Amalekites, were defeated not by the government of Israel at the time in the desert, because the verse does not say that Moses made a vow. It does not say that Joshua made a vow. It does not say that the leaders of Israel made a vow. The leaders would be the Nesiim, or the leaders, the tribal leaders. They did not make the vow. Who made the vow? The people, the public. Vayidar Yisrael neder lemor. So we have a war here. This is not the state of Israel's war. This is the Jewish people's war. We're going to fight it. I don't know if we're going to win this round, but eventually we are going to win. These murderers are going to be destroyed. And the way that you win this war is you do not benefit economically from it. And how do you not benefit economically from it? We conduct this war how we need to in order to win. And that means we do not bow to any pressure from any foreign power to not do what needs to be done, which is the complete destruction of Hamas. That is how we win. And we win with prayer and with singing and with repentance, because without that, we're not going to win this round. We will win eventually. We cannot be destroyed. We are immortal. But we have a template for how we win. And this is it. Am Yisrael Chai. The people of Israel live. I'm not talking about the government. I'm not talking about the state. But the Jewish people have woken up, at least partially. Now we are going to fight. Thank you very much. And I'll see you guys in a few days, or maybe even thank you very much. And I'll see you guys soon.